All right, Coast to Coast fans, welcome. Special treat today. We got Chris Brown, who's the Academy manager here at the West Coast Eagles, and it's the debut podcast for the young
First
fella.
time, yep.
Oh, don't get too nervous on me, mate. We're just having a chat.
We're just having a chat.
All right.
Hopefully it's interesting.
It's now Academies. It's not Natanui Academy manager, so you got a few academies on the go, have you?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, we have the Natanui Academy, which focuses on our male NGA players, Next Generation Academy. We have our Women's and Girls Academy now, which continues to grow in female football space, and the NGA W, we call it. Girls Academy sits inside of that with Crystal Petrevsky, who's obviously a former player, working with her there in the female space. And then the second gen's our past players and their kids and the engagement we have with them. So 3 streams make up our academies here at West Coast.
Well, you're a busy man. I appreciate you coming in. And the reason I want to get you in is I have mates and even a staff member at lunch has said to me, mate, what's the rules with the academies again? Like, there's a lot of lack of understanding going on. I thought for Eagles fans, we've got a bit of vested interest going on at this present time to probably have our ear to the ground and know what's going on in the academy space. So why don't you let me know what's going on at the moment? I mean, I read a stat that there's 40% of the draft pool for 2025. This next draft is going to be from father-son and from academy players all around the AFL. That's truckloads. That blew me away, and that got me thinking that every club really needs to be onto this space more than ever, right?
Yeah. So obviously there's some difference in the academies themselves. So with us, our NGAs, Next Generation Academies, Northern Academy is obviously slightly different, but I'll start with the Natanui Academy.
So Northern Academy is the non-footballing states we're talking about there?
Correct. So obviously the only real difference now, obviously because the rules have changed last year, we can all get our players from the same spot. It's just around which players you can engage in. So obviously with Next Generation Academies, we're really focusing on multicultural Indigenous players who live in our recruiting zones. And the Northern Academies obviously is everyone within their recruiting zones in the Northern Academy. So looking back to NGA here in WA, how's it all work? Well, a big pillar of the NGAs is not just obviously the talent. That's the top part of it. But our academy is very big. We've got 1,000 plus kids here that meet the AFL's criteria, live in our recruiting zones and meet the predominantly African and Asian multicultural designation and then the Indigenous designation. From 11 to 18, the boys come in and they train with us and develop. We play games against Fremantle's Academy. When they get to certain ages, we have to progress them if they're looking towards that talent space. So we start to make decisions on players and work them through our high performance streams, and then obviously they can get to a level like a Malachi Champion, Tyrell Dewar have done, Cohen Livingston over the last few years.
At what age? Is that like a 15 years of age? You start to put them in the high performance area? About
16. So we try to align it as best we can with the WA footy pathway. So obviously development squads start at 14. They start to play games against Freo with us in the higher levels at 14, then 15, and then what they call Waffle Futures, which is underway at the present time, is the 16s competition and considered the kind of elite level of football at that age group in WA. So when they start to hit 16, we need to meet some parameters with the AFL to lodge players. And they're eligible for WA state 16s if they're going quite well. And we start to progress from there.
There's been some funky rule changes in the last couple of years, Brownie. So why don't you deal fans in as to what it has been, what it was, and what we've probably reverted back to now.
Great. So for a fair while there, the last few years, we had the 40 rule, obviously. So they couldn't get players within that 40 pick. So basically, if another club called out your player, you had to give them a high five and say all the best and good luck. Obviously, Lance Collard was one of those players for us.
What pick was he in the end from St Kilda?
Late 20s.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he almost got through there, but they got in and got him.
And we'd harvested him for how long?
Since he was 13, 14, so we've had a fair bit to do with those players. Yep. Like I said, the way we run it is we like to get them in as early as we can and work with them for a sustained period of time. So if you come in at 11 or 12, you're going to be with us for 7 years, whether you get drafted or not. And we hopefully can help you on your way wherever you may land, whether it's at the top or whether it just helps you with waffle footy, community footy or your job work afterwards. So
top 40 scrap now. So that's
top 40
done.
Scrap now, which is great. Obviously, that came in last year that I think everyone was rapt about. I know we certainly were.
And this is the Jamarl Ugahagan situation,
right? It was.
So he went number 1 for the Dogs.
He sure did.
Finished 7th, I think, on the ladder, and then they got the number 1 pick.
Yep.
AFL reacted.
Yep.
And now we've reverted back.
So, you want to be able to incentivise the work you do and get the opportunity to draft the players you've been working with. So we were really rapt that rule changed, as I'm sure every other club was as well. So that puts us, like I said, starting from last draft, obviously the opportunity to get players where we would like to, and that obviously continued this year. So we'll do our best to develop those guys and then give some tough decisions for our recruiters to make come the draft time when it comes to those players.
So you boys have been on a roll of late. You've had Cohen Livingston come in, Tyrell Dewar, and now Malachi Champion.
Yep.
And you've seen these boys develop from plucking them, do you want to say out of obscurity, or they were kind of already in the Waffle Futures pathway at the time, or different situation for all?
Yeah, a little bit different for each. Obviously, both Dewar and Champo being Kalgoorlie kids, so we find them on our various visits out through there before we had the regional staff based in Kalgoorlie. But
are you doing those treks, Brownie?
We do those treks. Me and Kim Hanna, the great man, we'd get out on the plane and fly out to Kalgoorlie. So we weren't driving. We didn't drive. We jumped on the plane and we come and try days out there at Digger Doors Oval there in Kalgoorlie and really build some base with our regional areas. Cohen was another one, come in a lot earlier, but he was out of York, so out of our northern hub. And then obviously Tyrell again was also out of that Kalgoorlie one. So those boys eventually found their way to Perth through Cohen. We were able to get a scholarship through Scotch College. Tyrell was at Wesley. And Malachi moved up, part of Clontarf, so he had a crack through there. But they all vary in different ages. We don't always find them at 11 and 12, but most of those guys, those three especially, all came through about 13, 14. So it's a fair bit of time we work with them for.
Did you think they all had AFL potential at the stages early doors when they were coming into the program?
We all thought they had potential. We really work on rating them of how we see them for their age group, because the AFL is such a different beast. And at the entry level, even the real young kids, it's come in, have fun, meet some footballers, be at the footy club, develop your skills, find a love for the game and the footy club, and give them an opportunity to succeed and develop. And as they continue to go up, you're marking them where they are against it for their age group. And like I said, when they start to hit that 16s futures and the first state representatives, you're starting to go, well, some of these kids are progressing to this level, and that's when they come in here, like some of the boys did and trained over the summer.
This is what I want to get to, Brownie. The crop that's coming up in 2025. It's exciting.
It is.
We've got a few that are bubbling away on many clubs' radars, I'm assuming, at this point.
Yep.
Tell the fans who they are and sort of how they're tracking at this current time.
Well, we'll focus on the boys that trained over the summer. So if anyone come along and had a look at the pre-season, you would have seen on the Wednesday sessions for most of the summer. At most, we had 6 there, but varying numbers across the paddock. So
they fit in all right at those sessions?
They fit in really well. And real big props to Minnie and Gavin Bell here for letting our guys come in and train with the AFL program. And that stuff is invaluable. When you think about every kid that's going to put in for the draft this year across the country, there'll be thousands of kids. To be able to have a leg up by coming into being in an AFL system and getting that off-field experience, the footy stuff you train, you develop, but being in the environment, understanding what it takes to live the day in the life of an AFL footballer is invaluable. So that part of it is massive.
Which was the one where Malachi came in for his first day, and it was the day that Simo resigned from the footy club?
It was. It was so...
No, we were like, Malachi, this doesn't happen every day, mate.
Well, we had to let him know that was very much a one-off thing. So he jumped head first into it. But even like that, so obviously going back to Mally last year, he comes in and does the summer, he builds connection with the players. He comes back obviously halfway through the year as well to do his second stint. So I remember when we go up to his place and do the presentation with the family and stuff, when he got his name called out on the second day of the draft, he basically just jumped in the car back with us and come back to the club. The boys are in their team meeting. And it's like, Jappo, welcome in. He already had his seat in the auditorium, straight in. So that piece is so important for the boys to feel like they're already here and they're already in the program and they just jump in seamlessly from the next day.
That's not just on the oval for the session, is that through meetings in the gym? It's an entire day here, right?
Yeah. So he was in the National Academy. So when, and 2 of our boys are in it again this year, when you're in the National Academy, you actually get to do a whole week at an AFL club. So with our boys being NGA to us, they got to do the whole week there during the summer as well. So on top of their 1 day a week, they got to do a whole week, and that's fully immersed in the program, which is awesome experience.
So out of these 6 players that came in and tasted the club once a week, I think it was, who were the players that stood out and we should be watching from afar this year in the presumably Colts or seniors program?
Yeah, Colts, definitely. And hopefully they'll force their way into the state 18s when they pick that team as well. There's probably one that gets quite a bit of press, so you're already waiting for me to go off the top. So,
maybe.
Wesley Wally Jr.
Old Wes Wally.
Likes to be known as Wesley. He's obviously got quite the name, which is good or bad thing, I don't know for Wesley, but he's one of the 2 boys along with Kobe Evans who are in the National Academy. So Wes is a high half forward, good in the air, and a real lively forward. And Kobe has probably been a half forward, but he'll play, I think, a fair bit of midfield this year, really powerful in around the contest. So Kobe also has a bit of a connection here with his older brother Josh Burke through our Waffle program, our Waffle Eagles.
Yeah, he can play.
He can play. I actually used to have him when I was at the Perth Footy Club back in the day as well. So good pedigree there. And Wes is obviously from Subiaco, so Subiaco and Perth. Moving through that, we've got another club connection one with Jake Caton. So Jake's the nephew of Kevin Caton, obviously back in the old Eagle days. So Jake's a little bit different. He's a half-back intercept defender that can put speed on the game from half-back and roll off. Can also run through a wing. So he'll be at East Perth and, again, hopefully play some good footy there at East Perth. Tyler Williams, another high, dangerous half-forward, a boy from Swan District. So originally from the Great Southern area, but's come up and applied his trade at Swan District. So he's a good story. Tyler as well wasn't exposed, probably is the right word, exposed to the Waffle programs at a younger level. He had to come through country football and find his way through, and has really developed at a later level. So we're really excited about the way he's been going about it. Keep going forward. How many is that of Charlie Banfield, of course?
Well, we'll get to father-son in a minute.
But that separate.
Did those boys put on an absolute clinic when we put Freo to the sword and the curtain raiser for the Indigenous All-Stars game?
No, that was our younger guys. Those guys, basically with the NGA games, we stop around that 16 mark because most boys go to Waffle footy full-time and PSA footy full-time. So can't always get the availability for those boys. So, no, that was a combination of our 15 and 16-year-old kids who... put on a pretty good showing at the Indigenous All-Stars.
They smash them?
Yeah, it was 5-6 goals in the end, I think. So we like that.
What is it normally like? What's the ledger when we're taking on Freo on these types of battles? Because you're saying that this is the only team that they basically get to play.
Yeah, so you're right.
We got an overall little,
No, we don't. No, we don't.
On?
It depends on age groups and stuff as we go along. I'd say we probably had the better of the ledger of more recent, but which is always nice. But the games are really important for both clubs in the way that it's a good viewing tool to see how these kids go at a high level of footy. So, curtain raisers, obviously it's a great opportunity for kids to play at Optus Stadium and things like that. But, yeah, we've probably had the rub of the green of late, so we like that. Yeah,
quick one. So, father-son, there's no Jake Waterman at pick 77 rolling around, by any chances there?
Not that we're aware of. Like I said, the main one, obviously, this year is Charlie Banfield, who will be in all our high-performance stuff with our NGA boys. So, any of the father-son boys that are showing that progression to that level will just come into our high-performance with the NGA. So, that's awesome.
Claremont boy.
We've had obviously his older brother come through a couple of years ago as well. So a few Banfields. There's a younger brother coming through in Harper next year. So
didn't have many girls.
The first family. Right. He has got a daughter. Yeah, he has got a daughter. But they're almost the first family a little bit of the academies. But we've got a few other younger ones that have been through, and every time they kind of pop up, we make sure they get involved with our next gen high performance as well. So hopefully we've got a good stream of father-son coming through as well in the boys side too.
Yeah, beautiful. And what's going on? Because it's the Natanui Academy. What's Nick doing? Is he flogging merch down there on the sidelines at these training sessions? Is he involved? Is he running drills? What's he doing?
He doesn't run too many drills anymore. He likes to they call it supervise and oversee. I think that's more where he goes. So he still gets down a lot, which is awesome. And he still pulls a massive crowd, as you can imagine. Was he a couple of years retired now? He's still the big man on campus when he comes down. The kids really love getting around him and hearing his story. So we haven't got him rolling footies these days. It's probably we moved past that, but he's definitely around and getting involved with the kids, and he's a very keen supporter of what we do. So we're really lucky to have someone to be named after of his level, but also for him to still be involved post footy career is big for us. So I did miss one other player though.
Go on.
Yeah, Darcy Montgomery, who was one that wasn't in the state program, but he's knocking on the door. He's in the state 16s. He's another Subi boy, powerful forward. Kicked 6 in the game once for WA last year, so he's another one to keep his eye on. We've probably got another 15 kids under that at the 07 draft age that will play Colt. So there's plenty of boys out there having a run.
Yeah, brilliant, Brownie. Love picking your brain on this kind of stuff. You're a busy man. No one's occupying the sauna right now, so you probably got to get down to it and occupy.
Right. Yep, absolutely.
Appreciate your time. Good luck for the year. Maybe we'll touch base as we start to get to the business end of the season, maybe pre-draft, and see how they've all tracked now that you're giving us the names to watch.
Awesome. Thanks, mate.
Appreciate your time.